comfortably, you know. Actually, Randy may be sneaking in here. I don't know. We'll see. But if you want to stretch your legs out, do, or grab a blanket if you want to, so you feel really good in your hips, however you're sitting. You know, switch your leg around if you need to. And start to feel your sitting bones reaching down and the top of the head reaching up. And then just enjoy feeling your breath coming in and going out, feeling your belly rising with the breath. You know, if you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, you can. Letting your face soften, you're all around your eyes, all around your mouth. Start these easy little circles so that you start kind of small. Think about your torso coming into these circles that are very small at first. So you really feel the shift from the side to the front or the back to the other side. And then you can let them get bigger and bigger if you want. That depends on you. Just letting yourself exhale as you come forward and inhale when you come back. We are going to stop and go the other direction. So again, see about starting really small. So like kind of back up if you were getting a bigger circle there, start to move small again. And then take your time. What was that coming in? Get bigger and bigger with your circles. Forward in your circle, stay there. And you can move a little bit deeper forward if you choose to. You can put your hands down. You can walk further out if you want to. Just be mindful of how your back feels. Take your time. Let yourself you're fine. Right here or wherever you want to be. And then once you get forward a little bit, shift side to side. Now that you are forward, just let that little side to side shift happen with the torso. Good, and then come on back into center. Stay there for a breath. And then we're going to walk ourselves all the way on back up. Letting our hands come on out onto the floor beside us here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Good morning. You want to be back there, up here? Lynette can move up a little bit if you want, or you can be right here. Okay. So letting yourself stay here for a couple of breaths. Close your eyes. Let your elbows melt down. Let yourself really feel that seated mountain pose there. And then we'll inhale the hands right on up through the midline of the body. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. Taking a nice inhale here. Let's exhale and twist to our right. So bring your left hand on around where you like, whether it's midline or across to that right knee. And lengthen up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center and all the way around into the other direction. Again, only as far as you want to go. Let your hands go to a comfortable place. Feel your sitting bones drawing down. Lengthen up through the top of your head. And then we'll release to come on back around into center. And let's switch the cross of our legs. If we were cross-legged, just bring the other leg in front. If not, no worries. You can stay with your legs long. And then from here, go ahead and reach your left hand over towards your right knee. And rise your right arm up overhead, back here behind you. And then lean over towards your left leg a little bit, your left thigh, so that you come into side stretch there. And just enjoy opening up through the side body. And then we'll come on back up to the top. Release your arms on down. We're going to come around to the other right hand now to the left knee, other side. And then inhale that back arm, that left arm up. And then again, just lean over a little bit towards your right thigh there, letting yourself come into that left side stretch. Back up to the top, lower the back arm down again, and we're going to come on back around into center, and let's inhale our arms out from our shoulders into a T position, and then make a loose fist with your fingers coming in first, your thumb on top. Not squeeze really hard or anything, but just a nice loose little fist. And then open your hands again, and now put your thumbs in first and wrap your fingers over the top. But again, don't squeeze hard, just let yourself be aware of feeling your fingers and your thumb. And then stretch back into your hands again. And then turn your palms up and let your thumbs and your pointer fingers come to touch, just the tips of them together there. And then we'll open them back, and we're going to go to the middle fingers and the thumbs, gently touching. And then we'll open back, and we're going to go to ring fingers and thumbs, just gently now touching. And then we'll come to the pinkies and the thumbs, coming to touch lightly. And then open the hands again. Make that loose fist with the thumbs on top again, and let your fist circle around, going in one direction. You're starting to feel your arms here, I'm sure. Kind of amazing how heavy our arms can be. And then reverse and go the other direction. And then bring your hands on forward. Turn your fingertips down towards the ground. Come on forward. If you can, put your fingertips on the floor, do. Some of you may even want to keep going on down to the tips of the thumbs being on the floor. So you're kind of pressing gently into the tips of your fingers and maybe your thumbs. Letting the wrists open up there. Good, and then we'll come on back up, shake your hands out a little bit, stretch your legs on out in front of you too, and shake them out. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. Let yourself just kind of have fun playing with your feet there, doing whatever feels good. Little bounces if you want, little windshield blade, wagger blades. We're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you feel like you would rather have some support, a blanket underneath your knees or your hands, use it. Take your time and let yourself find your neutral spine there. Get comfortable in your hands. Go on, draw on up, exhale on up into your cat pose, and see if you can really press into your hands a little more and into the tops of the feet in your cat pose here. And then on the next inhale, send your tailbone back and up. Let your belly sink down. Come on in towards your cow. And once you get there, do the same thing. Kind of press a little more into your hands, into the tops of your toes. And then come on back to more neutral spine. Curl the toes under. Shift your hips back just a little bit, just so you can stretch out the bottoms of the feet a little bit more and feel your toes. Good, and then come on back up and come back to the tops of the feet, and let's go again into a cat pose. Let yourself stay there for a breath. And then we'll come through, back through, tailbone reaching back and up into our cow pose, staying there for a breath. And then we'll come back to a more neutral spine, and we're going to send our right foot behind us on the floor, curl the toes under, and press into the heel there. Engage the belly. And then float that right leg up so that you're about parallel to the floor. And bring the leg out to the side and onto the floor, maybe right out beside your right foot on the floor. So the toes are facing forward and your foot is fully on the floor so you can feel your inner thigh. And, you know, it's not really up to you. If you like to move your hips a little bit back, sometimes that increases the inner thigh stretch. Not always. It depends on you. So just stay for a breath, or if you need to shift a little bit with your hips, do. Good. And then we're going to come on back around with the leg. Now send it to the other side. So it's on the floor over behind you there, and you can look over your left shoulder, and you're coming into releasing through the right side of the body as you look back to your foot back there. Good, and then we'll bring the leg on back. We're going to bring the knee on back to the floor and send the left foot behind us. Press into the heel here. There's your calf. Wake up your calf. Let yourself just enjoy. Now zip up your low belly a little bit. Really engage the belly. And then let the leg float up so it comes out onto the floor to the left beside you. Again, how high you bring that foot up, like whether it's in line with your hand, maybe it's down lower, right? Kind of finding a place where you can release into your inner thigh there. Good, and then we're going to bring the leg up and around and all the way over across now to the outside of your mat there, looking back over your right shoulder, seeing your left foot back there. Feel that length through the left side. Good. We're going to come on back down with the knee, and we're going to shift back into pose of a child. So if you can, let your arms soften and let yourself come into your child's pose. Really let your upper body go, right? So you're not kind of stretching your arms out. You're not engaging that way. You're just letting yourself release here. Breathing into your low back. Good. One more breath. And then let's come onto our forearms and let your arms be pretty parallel. So your forearms are parallel to each other here. Hands are spread a little bit, your palms are down, your bottom's up in the air, right? And then you're going to exhale and drop like you're doing a cat pose here. Now really let yourself feel the tops of the feet pressing into the floor, press into your forearms. And as you inhale, send your tailbone back and up like you're moving through the cow. Maybe you can look like forward between your hands. If that bothers your neck, don't do that. You know, you can just look between your arms or whatever works. And then we're going to, again, press in as you drop into your cat pose, into the tops of the feet. Now really feel your navel pulling towards your spine. And then when you inhale, send your tailbone back and up again, coming into that cow-like pose there. Good. And then from here, we're going to shift right on back onto hands and knees, curl our toes under, and come on back into downward facing dog pose. So take your time, walk a little bit in your dog. If you need to move to the top of one foot at a time and press into the tops of your toes to get your feet a little more stretched out, do. Feel your hands on the mat. If you feel like they may not quite be pretty well placed there, go ahead and look at your hands if you need to. Find that down dog. Feel the elbows hugging towards each other. Remember, it's fine to bend your knees. Good. And we're going to lower our knees on down. We're going to bring our left foot forward and come on into lunge here. So you know, if you'd rather have your blocks underneath your hands, you can have them any height. Come on into that first lunge. Let your shoulders draw down away from your ears. Enjoy finding the length in the back of the body. Good. And we were going to switch legs. So however you want to do that, bringing yourself to the other side. Being mindful of that front knee alignment. Letting yourself imagine that left inner thigh reaching up towards the ceiling. So that really gets the heel in line back there. Good. We're going to switch legs again. And this time, once you get into that lunge, let's go ahead and straighten the front knee out. Let the right heel descend back towards the mat. And if you can lift up your left foot and be on just your heel, do. If that's too much, don't do it. But you can extend your torso out over that front leg with the foot up for a second. Let yourself feel the back of the leg. And then bring the foot on back down. Bend the front knee. Come on back into lunge. And we're going to switch legs again. So again, once you get into that lunge and you get ready to straighten that front knee out, be mindful. Feel that back heel releasing just downward a little more. If you can pick the right foot up and be on just your heel, do. If not, don't do it. If that's too much for the back of the leg, don't do it. Good. One more breath. And now if your foot's up, go ahead and bring it down. Bend into that front knee. Come on into your lunge. And we're going to step forward and make our way into our Uttanasana. So, you know, whatever kind of support you need, if you need to let yourself have your hands on your blocks or your elbows above your knees, see if you can lift your toes briefly up and feel the toes trying to spread out a little bit. If they won't do it and you can reach them, you can reach down and kind of help them with your hands. Spread your toes out. And then just let the toes release down and really feel the weight of your head. Remember, be very supportive of your low back if you feel iffy there. Coming to those easy, nice, full breaths. We're going to let our hands rise on up to our hips as we bend our knees and come on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, adjust if you need to. If you need to shift around a little bit, certainly if you need to look at your feet or get yourself just where you feel good to be. And what you do, start to settle in to bring your gaze on forward, whether your eyes are open or closed. Let your shoulders lift up a little bit and kind of draw them back and then down. And let yourself just start to enjoy letting the body stack itself up, really. Once the pelvis is aligned, getting yourself stacked up there with hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Unfold our arms right on down beside us. Inhale both your arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice flat back. Does not matter, remember, where you put your hands. Lengthen out through the spine. And we'll step our right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time, wag your tail around a little bit actually. Let yourself, really shift. In fact, shift onto your right foot. Lift your left foot, but you're like just barely lifting it off the floor, right? And then you're coming back and you're shifting to the left and you're just barely lifting your right foot up. It's like you're lifting your right hip up higher, right? So do a couple of those, which feels kind of almost like an animal walk of some kind, letting your hip shift up as you lift the foot off the floor a little bit. And then come on back to your full dog and walk your way into that dog. Hug your elbows towards each other. Really squeeze those elbows inward a little bit. Feel that energy through your arms, into your shoulders. And we'll come on out to plank. Nice and strong plank here. Now for a second, be really strong here in your plank. Make sure you're not dropping into the belly, letting go. Reach your sitting bones down towards your heels. And then let's lower our knees down, okay, but stay up in your half plank. Bend your knees. Pull yourself towards the front of your mat and start to lower down really slowly. Elbows right by the ribs. So you get all the way down. And then lower your legs down and come on into your Sphinx pose, letting your forearms come onto the floor. Looking there between your hands. Let it be really easy in your neck. A couple of breaths there. Now feel the tops of the toes just gently pressing into the floor. Feel how you engage a little deeper there. Belly lifts. We're going to come on back down towards the floor and come back into down dog, whether you come back through that half push-up you just did or a full one, or maybe you just want to shift back to your hands and knees and back to your dog. And we will bring our right foot forward to come into lunge here. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. So as you make your way into your Uttanasana, just be mindful. If you feel good to hold your elbows, go for it. If you know there is support that helps you to feel better in your back, use whatever that is. And then just breathe. Just accept your breath in and out. Just being really mindful of feeling the movement as you breathe in and out. The movement in the belly, in the rib cage. And then we'll release our hands back up to our hips as we bend our knees and rise on up. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, we'll let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And now unfold your arms. Arms are down beside you. And let's do this. Let's bring our right arm to fold onto our low back. But you're going to reach over far enough to get your left arm back here. Now, you know, you're kind of pulling your arm in, right? It's going to have to come in. It depends on the length of your arms, obviously. And where you hold, whether you below your elbow or above, it doesn't matter. Just let yourself be where you can there. Good. And then tilt your head to the left. Let your head just tilt to the left. Left ear towards the left shoulder. Maybe you feel a pretty deep stretch in the neck there. Just be mindful. Take your time. And now really slowly, you're going to start to turn your head to bring the chin down towards the floor. So you go only as far as you want to go with that. And you can stay looking down for a few breaths here. Let the neck adjust, right? You're still holding your arm, but you're not pulling. You're just letting that be like a support system, really, the hand on the arm. And then slowly turn your face back to the front. So you're back to that first stretch. And then we're going to rise on back up to center. And we're going to switch arms and hands, right? So now you're coming on over to get wherever you can, holding on to that arm. And then when you're ready, tilting your head to the right ear towards the right shoulder. And you know, just let this arm do, I mean, if you end up with the arm sliding more to the midline, don't worry about that arm and what it's doing. Just let yourself release there through the side of your neck. And then slowly, really this is slow, this turning of the head down. So let yourself just bring your chin downward. Take your time. Let yourself be mindful. You know, you might feel a place that's really tight. Stay here for a couple breaths. And then slowly, again, start to turn your face back forward. And then we'll rise on back up to the top. Release our arms now on out beside us. Turn your palms forward. Let yourself feel like you're standing between two panes of glass. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. If you're able to look up now, do. If not, don't. And as you exhale, bend your knees and come on forward back into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice long flat back. And we will step the left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog pose. Good. Let your inhale carry you out to plank. So see if you can get your feet right where they're good in your plank, okay? And then keep your feet there and come back into downward facing dog pose. And see if you can do that again. Come on out to your plank, nice and strong. And then when you're ready, come on back into down dog. This next time we come out to plank, we're going to stay for a breath, but we're going to head towards a side plank on our left hand. You can put your left knee down too if you want to do that variation, shifting onto the left hand, whether it's a full side plank or left knee down into that variation of a side plank. And then we're going to come on back through center, and we're going to go the other side. Again, you can do a full one, or you can put your right knee down, use the right foot like a kickstand, and come into that side plank variation there. So take your time, let yourself just enjoy, press into that hand on the floor, engage your belly, feel your whole spine lengthen. We're going to come back down, find your plank again, walk a little bit, bend one knee at a time, but let your hips stay right where they are when you do that. And you can even kind of do it rather quickly. So you like really just let one knee at a time come down. Finish off in full plank. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat. So knees first if you like. So let's come on into a Cobra. First, float up, float your hands up too, and let your hands make loose fists. They come kind of to the front of your shoulders. So you're like really just letting the body lift itself up here, using your back body. And then bring your hands on down, and you can press on up if you want into a Cobra all the way, or you can stay low. Doesn't matter, whatever feels good for you. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to press back through Child's Pose, letting yourself release back all the way into Pose of a Child. Let your arms be long overhead. Press down into your hands. Hug your elbows towards each other. Good. And then we're going to come on forward, hands and knees, curl our toes under, come on back into down dog. And from here, we'll step our left foot forward and come into lunge, however you need to get there. And then we'll come back into Uttanasana, feet right underneath us, hips distance apart and parallel. Right to your breaths. Let it feel good to feel the weight of your head too. So letting yourself release. Just allowing that weight of your torso forward to let the backs of your legs just gradually and easily open up deeper and deeper. Wherever you want to put your hands, you want to put them under your feet or up on your back, or let yourself hold your elbows. And then we'll let our hands rise on up to our hips, press into our feet, coming on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. Letting our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right on up through the midline, and on the exhale, open the arms as we fold forward from the hips. Let your next inhale lengthen your spine. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog. Let your inhale carry you to your plank. Your exhale lower you down. Inhaling into your Cobra of choice. And exhaling back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top with your breath. And letting your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that long back. And exhale left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into down dog. So letting your inhale bring you to plank. Your exhale lower you down. Inhaling into your Cobra. And exhaling back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale left foot forward to lunge. Inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees rising up to the top again. And letting your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come into down dog. However you want to do there, get there. Walk, jump. Take your time. Get into your dog. Move around if you need to. Feel your hands on the mat. In fact, bring your awareness to your hands once you get settled in. And just make sure you're not rolling to the outside edges of your hands. Really feel your thumbs pressing into the floor and your pinkies. And then feel your pointer fingers and your ring fingers pressing in. And then the middle fingers too, so you feel all equal in your hands. And then from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward. Now we're coming up for Warrior Two, and you may want your blocks handy there by the front of your mat. Line up your heels. Let yourself just be really mindful of getting that alignment of that front knee. And then let your hands just float a little off your thighs and make those loose fists like we did earlier with the thumbs on top. And start to circle your hands as they float up higher and higher till they get out, till your arms get out just where they are to be in line with your shoulders or a little higher for your Warrior Two arms. Now reverse the circles that you were just doing with your hands once you're there. Good. And then start to extend out through the fingers here now. Reaching back. Now concentrate on reaching back through your right hand. In fact, let yourself just shift your shoulders back a little bit like you're going a little further back behind you. And then do the opposite, like somebody's pulling your left fingertips a little more forward. And then settle back into center there, where you know you're right there, shoulders over hips. Feeling very balanced. Feeling the feet in the floor. We're going to turn the left palm up and inhale, reach up into our reverse warrior. A nice full breath into the left side. And on the exhale, come into our side angle. So forearm, hand, whatever works onto your thigh. Swinging that right arm on up into line. Turning the right pinky down. Drawing the right shoulder down away from your ear. Good. Now breathe into your back ribs if you can. So you want to make sure you're not hyperextending into your front rib cage. So you want to feel the breath really coming into the front and the back. One more breath. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other. And now, straighten the front leg out. And if you can, as you bring your left hand down, just let the right arm keep going up, 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 so that it ends up right above your shoulder, if your shoulder lets you do that. Palm facing outward, letting yourself feel the thighs lift up towards the hips. Good. Now just bend that right elbow. Put your right hand behind your head just for a second. And just support, like really go to the base of your skull, if you can. So you're like right at the base of your skull. Imagine you're kind of pulling your head outward a little bit, away from your hips. Feel that length. Feel a little more sideways stretch there. And then extend the arm back up, straight on up into your triangle arm. Beautiful. We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then we'll release to turn to get ourselves into that wide legs here for wide-legged forward bend. So adjust, bring your hands behind you and clasp them and stand up tall for just a second. Let yourself make sure you're not tucking your tailbone up under you, right? Tailbone is reaching back a little bit. And then bend your knees and start to come forward. Now how far you go forward, you know, is up to you totally. You can stay parallel to the floor. You can keep going and let the top of the head reach down. Whether your arms will come off your back, you know, is really up to you and your shoulders. Where you can. Stay here for a couple of breaths if you can with your arms back. Of course, if you need to bring your hands down before I say so, do it for sure. And then we all will release our hands on down towards blocks or the floor. And then take your time. Bend your right knee. Stay there for a breath. And then shift over to bend your left knee and stay there for a breath so that you're just finding that release there. Come on back into center and bend both your knees equally. And then from there, if you're able to walk your hands back towards between your feet, do. And don't do this, obviously, if it bothers your back, right? And from there, see if you can come into a little bit straighter legs, pressing the feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. If you're okay to release the top of the head down towards the ground, do. Think about your elbows slightly hugging in towards each other, drawing your shoulders away from your ears, and feeling the feet pressing away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And then just Now, watch your breath. Try to let go now. Your head to hang heavy. Release wherever you are. If you're supported with blocks out in front of you, same thing. Let your head release if you can. Good. One more nice full deep breath. And then we're going to walk our hands on back out in front of us. We're going to walk back to our left foot. Come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, adjust your feet. Get yourself really set there. And we're going to come out to that plank right again from our dog. Now, if you're not in the right place with your feet, get where you are. And then keep your feet where they are and come on back again into down dog. And let's do that again. Come out to plank, nice and strong. And then come on back again into down dog. This next time, we're going to come out to plank. If you can add a back bend, do it. You can go through chaturanga, or you can just shift your hips down and your chest forward and come to an up dog if you want. And then we'll all make our way back into downward facing dog pose. And walk your dog a little bit here. Let yourself walk through your dog. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring our right foot forward, and we're coming on up for warrior two on the other side. So, getting those feet the distance apart you feel good to be. Lining up that front knee. And getting yourself really from the waist down where you feel, okay, this is it. I can stay here, you know, and if you want to challenge yourself a little more to bend that knee a little deeper, get more parallel to the floor with your thigh, that's fine, not necessary. And then float your hands again a little off your legs and start to make those loose fists. You're low with your hands, and then as you start circling, they're going to float higher and higher till they get out from your shoulders. So let yourself come all the way to where you have the arms as high as you want there, and then reverse those circles with your fists. And then when you're ready, coming into those long arms. So now, reach out through the fingertips. And let's do that reaching back further so our shoulders shift back, like you're trying to get a little further behind you with your hand. And now come into the front hand doing the same thing, so your shoulders shift forward a little bit. And then let yourself shift right back into center, and then it just feels like perfect. You're right there in your warrior two. Bringing your gaze out over the top of that right hand, feeling the shoulders melt down away from your ears. Feel as equal as you can from your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips too. And we'll turn the right palm up and inhale, reach up into that reverse warrior. Nice breath into the right side. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So hand or forearm on that thigh, swinging that left arm on up into line, turning the left pinky down, pressing into your forearm if you're on the forearm there. Now, you know, if you want to go lower, you can bring your right hand down to a block or to the floor if you're minded, you know, if you want to do that. Take your time. Enjoy. Feeling that outer right hip drawing back so the knee is really lined up. Well, that right knee is really lined up. Yes, nice. We're going to come on back into warrior two. Pressing those feet away from each other. Reach out through the fingertips. Soften the shoulders down. And now straightening that right knee out for triangle. And as you bring the right hand down, let the left hand just keep coming on up. Again, if you like a block, you can use a block. You can use your leg underneath your hand. Palm faces outward, reaching up through the fingertips of that left hand. You can turn to look up if it feels good. And then bring your gaze back towards the long edge of your mat and bend that left elbow and bring, again, the hand, if you can, kind of to cup the base of your skull there. And then imagine you're trying to just pull your head a little further away from your hips. Feet are pressing away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat, and thighs are lifting up towards the hips. There's so much going on. It's like your whole body is extended. So much space. Extend that top arm back up, overhead if you can. And then we're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And as our hands come down, we're going to turn our feet more parallel And this time, go ahead and come on forward and grab blocks if you want, or hands can go to the floor, up to you. But walk your hands out either on the blocks or the floor so you have a nice long back. You're really forward a little bit here, and see about lifting your heels up just a little bit. And you know, you can, if you want, when you bring them back down, you can even send them farther towards the short edges of your mat. Well, you know, if being a little pigeon-toed feels okay to you, don't do it if it's not. Good. And then walk so that you have your hands now right under your shoulders. We're going to just add a little twist of right hand on up to the hip, and then rolling that palm of the hand down onto your low back. And you know, you can stretch your right arm up if you want to. You can keep the hand down on the back. You can reach the arm up overhead if you choose, if your shoulder lets you. Trying to stay level in your hips here. Good. And then come on back down. We're going to shift to the other side. So once you bring that left hand up, palm down, and you roll the shoulder up, you have your palm right there. You can tell if you're dropping into that right side. Make sure you're level. And then maybe it will feel good to lift the arm out, and maybe it won't, right? This is really into the shoulders in a very different way. And it's not always comfortable. We're going to come on back down with the hand. Good. And now go ahead and wiggle around however you need. If you need to bend a knee at a time, if you like to bend both knees, whatever feels good, just to let yourself ease your way. You know, you can play with turning your toes out and do those, you know, coming deeply down and letting yourself get into your hamstrings deeper that way. And then, when you're ready to set up, get your toes again around more parallel, feet are parallel to each other. And then, use blocks if you want, let yourself, you know, walk your hands to hold your ankles if you want to, or behind you if that feels good. Or maybe you want to use like a block for your head. Sometimes that feels really good. So just be mindful, and if you need to kind of adjust how you are in the pose, do. So you can really let go through the upper body. You can let your head hang. You can let yourself release into your breath very easily. Imagine you're releasing, actually like you're just relaxing into those spaces between your breaths. One more breath. And from here, we are going to walk ourselves back over towards our right foot to come on back into lunge and back into downward facing dog pose. And from here, let's come on out to a plank again. And then just pick your right foot up and bring that right knee in and cross it over towards your left elbow. And then bring it back towards your right elbow. And then reach it long again and put it back on the floor. And we're going to do the other side. Left foot gets up a little off the floor. Bring the knee in and reach it across towards your right elbow. And then reach it towards your left elbow. And then stretch it back long and put it down. And you're on your own right now. If you'd like to go back into dog, if you'd like to come through for a back bend, if you're like, enough of that, I'm so done with being on in my shoulders, you know, stop if you need. Put your knees down and rest. Good. We're going to meet back in downward facing dog pose now. And now, from here, we are going to bring our left foot forward. Come into a lunge. Get your blocks, okay? If you have them, separate your feet just a little wider. We haven't practiced this Warrior One variation. Some people call it crescent, right, in a while. So to lift up from here with your feet in that lunge with the back heel off the floor. You can always bend that right knee a little bit. And you can adjust the length of your lunge. If you don't want to be so long, you can hike this back foot in a little more. Let your hands come to your heart. Bring your gaze to a place where you can really focus. And then maybe you can bring your arms up overhead if you choose to. Totally optional. You can even lift your gaze up if you feel good to do that. Good luck with that. If you're having balance issues, try to stay focused on a spot. Good. We're going to bring our arms on down. We're going to come back into lunge, and we're going to add a little twist, easy twist. Just bring your left hand to your hip, roll the shoulder up. If you want to stretch your arm up, do, or you can keep your hand down. Let it feel good. Good, and then we're going to release to come down, and we're going to lower that back knee down to the floor. If you need a blanket underneath it, use it. And just shift a little bit forward. Now, if you can, you can be up on a block or on the floor with your right hand. Let your left hand come to the outside of your knee and do that little twist again, but this time kind of come away from your leg and draw your right rib cage towards that left inner thigh. So you get a little release there in the front of that right hip. And then we're going to come on back down. Left hand's going to come down. We're going to lift the back knee up. And we'll straighten the front knee out. Let your right heel descend towards the mat. Hopefully it'll feel like a good relief. Good. And then from here, we're going to bend the front knee enough then just to shift back into downward facing dog pose. So walk through the tops of your toes. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to put your knees down, do. If you want to stay in dog. If you want to do vinyasa or kriya. Just be mindful. Take your time. Good. And then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. And this time the right foot comes forward. So again, to come into this lunge and to lift up from it, it is not easy. So if you need to widen your stance, if you need to shorten it, if you need to bend the back knee a little bit, so that when you start to rise up, it feels, okay, like I can be here. If you need to readjust your stance, if you need to keep your hands down on your blocks, just do it, right? It doesn't matter. You can keep yourself supported. You can let your hands come up overhead if you want, arms overhead, or you can keep your hands to your heart, opening through the front of that hip. Good. And then as we come on down with our hands, we're going to come back to lunge. So again, you may want to adjust once you get back before we add that twist. Left hand stays grounded, right hand to the right hip, rolling that shoulder up. If you like to stretch your right arm up, you can. You can keep the hand down if you want. Let it feel good. Nice. And then come on back down with the hand, and let's lower our back knee down. So again, if you need a blanket to put that knee down to the floor, shift forward a little bit, press into the top of the foot there, let it feel good. And then come up away from this thigh a bit, put your right hand there right on the outside of your right knee, and think about drawing your left rib cage towards that right inner thigh. So your hand is keeping your knee from drifting outward, right? You can even kind of press the knee into your hand. You're very engaged. You can really open up through the front body there. Nice. And then release the hand on back down. And we're going to come back to lunge. Good. And now straighten that front knee out. Shift your hips back. Just like come out over that leg a little bit. Let it feel good. Good. And then we're going to come on back into down dog. So you can come on back with that foot. Last vinyasas or kriyas, if you want to do any more. If you'd rather just stay in dog, do. If you'd rather let yourself come into anything else at all, do. If you want to move through vinyasas or kriyas, they can be fast, they can be slow. Good. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. Yay for dog. Bend your knees really deeply. Think about your belly coming onto your thighs so that you decide if you want to jump or walk your way towards the front of your mat. So you can jump forward or you can walk forward. Get your feet underneath you. Let yourself come into your Uttanasana with a real heavy head, if possible. And then bring your hands on up to your hips. And no, actually clasp your hands behind you. Bend your knees. Press into your feet. Rise on up. Keep your hands back there. Find your pelvis getting into line there. So you're not tucking your tailbone forward. You're reaching it down towards between your heels. And see if you can come into a couple of three-part breaths, just with your hands softly behind you. Inhaling into your belly, then your ribs, then up into your chest. And feeling the breath come out of the top, the chest, then the ribs, then the belly when you exhale. And then we're going to let our arms come on down and swing your arms around a little bit, shake it out. Good. And you know, we're going to come to the wall. I think we may be a little, I don't think we'll be too close together. I'm going to move way over here. So, Randy, you could actually stay on this wall.
Okay.
Yeah, or you could be there if there's room. So I'll move all this stuff. What is that stuff? I'm moving. Moving day. So,
This one.
bring everything with you. We're going to stay. So,
Move that out of the way.
get the short edge of your mat in to a wall. And then get your blocks. Oh yeah, good. That's perfect. And let's do, there you go. Oh, I need to do this. Thank you for reminding me of that. So, you don't have to walk behind it. So let's get our block. And let's turn our right shoulder towards the wall. Okay? And let's do a little half moon, if you have room, and I think we do, with our side to the wall, right? So bringing our right hand down. Yeah, you'll have to walk. You can have a pole though, Lynette. That's perfect. Now, Charmin, you might be a little.
Yeah, her legs are leaving.
There.
I got it.
Charmin, come over here if you don't
No,
mind.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. So, just, you know, if it bothers your hip, don't do it. If you can let yourself step onto that right foot, feel your right shoulder into the wall, flex your left foot, and just lay back in the wall. You can stretch the arm overhead if you want. Just for a second, because we're going to actually come into the foot to the wall and make it even easier. And now come on up. We're just going to do the other side. So right now you're just trying to get yourself into the pose where you're fully supported and you're forced to be in alignment. So that left foot is parallel to the wall. Your left hip is into the wall. You're reaching up, if you choose, through that right arm. So just enjoy. You can look down if your neck bothers you. You can look forward. You can even play with looking up when you have the wall back there. It's easy. Well, not easy for neck sometimes, but good. And then we're going to come on up. And now on our mats, we're going to bring both blocks forward and have our feet back towards the wall behind us. And now we're going to put our left foot to the wall and turn the toes a little away from the floor. We're going to do half moon with our back foot to the wall. So now you got to really make sure that right leg is in a good place so that when you lift your left hand up to your hip, you know, it feels easy. I mean, it might even feel easy to bring that right hand off the block a little bit too. And then you can stretch the left arm up, pressing that left foot into the wall, letting that left arm come up towards the ceiling if you choose. Feel length through both sides of the body. Let the hips open up there. Yes. And then come on down with your hand and your foot, and we're just going to go right away to the other side because it'll feel like a relief. Remember, the toes are slightly turned away from the floor, not all the way with that foot parallel to the ceiling though. You know, nobody has a 180-degree turnout, but so feel good so that when you press into the wall and you imagine you're pulling it up towards the ceiling, and you can just lengthen all the way out through the top of your head. Nice. It's so much fun. It's such a great, fun pose. And when you're ready, let yourself release down. If you need to squat a little bit, do. And if anybody wants to practice their balance, they can come away from the wall and then start to play a little bit with the leg not being on the wall, and if you're like, yeah, no thank you, that's not my balance day, then don't do it, you know. Go ahead and put your foot back in the wall if you need to. I know a lot of you in here are just amazing balancing in this pose, so if you feel like you want to play, bring the leg back. I know some of you like to bend the knee of that top leg and even reach your hand back, same hand as foot to get it. So if it's the same hand as a foot, it's a lot easier than opposite. So you can switch whenever you want, or you can go, okay, I'm so done, I'm not doing any more of this. So take your time, watch the pole, don't break your foot on the pole, not good.
All those years of pole dance.
Yeah. I actually love that pole.
I thought I recognized you from somewhere.
All right, so when you're done, keep working if you want, but come on down into child's pose if you're done. And let your feet go back towards the wall behind you. Let yourself release here. You can make a pillow if you want with your hands. If you really want to let your heart melt a little bit, if you stack your hands or your arms up and put your head on them, on the hand or the arm, whatever's there, and let your chest melt down. Oh my gosh. You can feel that release between the shoulder blades. Good. And then we're going to bring our arms down onto the floor, onto forearms actually. Come on forward. And let's do a little dolphin. Go ahead and curl your toes. Bring your toes forward and let yourself come on up with your heels, up to the base of the baseboard or however high you come on it. And just press into the forearms. Let it feel really easy right here. So your heels are there. Just take a minute here to just enjoy. Really finding what you just did with your hands on your arms. Think about that same thing, that release right there between the shoulder blades. And then when you're ready, you can come down and rest. If you really want to start to lift legs up, by all means do. If you want to start to walk up, that's fine. If you don't want to do any of that, don't do it. You can always go up again, take a little break, and then go up again and play a little bit just with both feet on the wall or on the baseboard. And you can stay in dolphin. You don't have to go towards lifting legs up or anything. Take your time. Good. Come down. We're all going to release for a breath if you need to, if you're just coming down. But we're going to come onto our knees. If you need a blanket too, but see if you can let yourself go back to either tips of your toes touching the wall, or some of you might even want to curl your toes under. If you're doing this one, man, this really sends your knees into the floor harshly to me. So if I curl my toes and put the tips of my toes on, then I want to be on a blanket. But you don't have to be. You can go flat to your feet. That's right. You want to be where you're okay to be in your own knees. And then you're going to think about just releasing into a little camel pose. Letting your hands be on your back and kind of sending your hips a little forward and let yourself release only where you can, right? So for some of you actually, you might want to bring your arms up overhead and then kind of reach back towards the wall with your hands and let your hips be, still over your knees somewhat. And if that's too much, just don't do it. Oh my gosh, camel pose is to me like one of the hardest poses there is. So if you're, we are so all different. Don't stress it. If you want to do full camel, go for it. You reach on back and get those heels and let yourself you know, the wall is there. If you don't actually be able to get your heels, but you want to put the top of your head to the wall, you can do that and try to get your hips forward. Oh my gosh, it's such an intense pose to me. I know. And when you're ready to release, make sure you come forward and come on in again towards a child's pose and really let the back release there. But those back bends, man, they kind of make you sweat a little bit. They get you really warmed up. Good. From here, we're going to make our way around to sitting. And if you feel like you'd rather sit on a blanket, because we are going to bring our legs forward, and if you'd like better, you know you're better off to sit on a blanket, do. But stretch your right leg out in front of you and bring your left foot in towards the inside of your leg, somewhere, right? It can be below, above. We're going to come into Shirsasana, so that forward bend where we come forward. We're not using a strap. We're going to think about just letting ourselves keep that pretty much midline of the body over the inside of that right leg. And whether you reach for your foot or you reach for your leg or put your hands on the floor, just ease your way forward, right? So take your time, coming forward with that nice long back. And then once you get pretty far forward, if you're fine to let your head hang, do. I mean, this pose, the name of it, the Sanskrit name, actually means nose to knee. Well, you know, it all sounds great, but you know, not everybody is built to do that. So take your time, let yourself enjoy opening the back of the leg. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to come on up, and you're going to keep that right leg there. And think about drawing your left knee back more towards the wall behind you. So you actually change the angle of your pelvis, right? And if this left knee is bothering you, change how far in front of you this left foot is. The left knee can go up on a block too. If that's too stressful, don't do it. I mean, stretch your left leg long if you have to. And then send your right hand down onto your right leg, slide it down to your ankle if you can. Some of you may even want to reach and hold the big toe mound of your foot and let your right elbow come down towards the inside of your right knee. That's up to you. It's a deep side stretch. Once you add that arm up, maybe you want to put the hand behind your head, or maybe you want to reach your left hand towards your right foot. Now you can let the left sit bone float off the floor. So you be where you can. Let yourself stay where you can, where you feel good into a nice side stretch of your body there. And then we're going to slowly come on back up, and just for a little relief, twist to your left. As you come on up, go ahead and twist towards the left. You can look back towards the wall behind you if you want. And then come on back around. We're going to switch to stretch our left leg directly forward now, and the right foot in, either above or below your knee. Use support if you need. Especially, you know, it's sometimes only when you come forward that you feel this, you know, maybe a little tweaky spot or something. And just a blanket or a block can help that tweaky feeling go away. So, you know, be mindful, take your time, let yourself ease your way forward again. It's not important how far you go. It's coming to where you feel that nice stretch through the back of the leg, but it's not like a pulling. And you can allow, if possible, your head to hang. If you get pretty far and you'd like to go ahead and fold over, go right ahead if that feels like a relief to you, right? breath. And when you slowly make your way up, take your time. Remember, we're going to just shift. Right knee kind of goes back a little bit. Your hips kind of start to turn a little bit on that angle. And then again, get comfortable. If you need to stretch this right leg out, do. If you feel iffiness in that leg, do what you need to do. Let your left hand slide down your leg, down towards wherever you want to go. And again, as you think of reaching the right shoulder up, there you are into a deep side stretch. If you want the right arm to come up, or put the hand behind your head, or reach the hand down more towards your foot. Remember, you can let that right hip float up a little bit. Good. So one more breath. And as we slowly come up, remember, we're going to just twist towards the wall behind us. So let yourself come on around into that twist, and let it feel like a huge relief to that side of the body. And we are going to slowly come on back around, bring our legs in front of us, shake out a little bit, and we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So take your time, let yourself come on down, bring your knees in towards your chest, and go a little side to side. Circle if you want. If you like the circling in the knees, if that feels good, to outline your sacrum there by just letting the knees circle in one direction and then the other. Do. And then bring your knees back to center. Put your right hand on your right knee, your left hand on your left knee, okay? And then, with your right hand, you're going to draw your right knee in towards you, but with your left arm, it's going to come straight. It's like you're walking with your knees. Your knees are still bent. And you're just going to let the knees switch. So you're going to just go, pull the right knee in, the left knee comes away, pull the left knee in, the right knee comes away. You kind of feel your shoulders moving on the floor. Just let it be easy. Let it feel good. And then go ahead, bring both knees on back in, and bring your feet down onto the floor to the outside edges of your mat. Bring your arms up if you can. Now it depends on what you have around you. If you can get your arms a little higher than out from your shoulders, do. And then just let your knees come to one side. When you're ready, you get to go to the other side. If you want to stay and hang out on one side, do it. I know some of you like when your knees go to the right to put your right foot up on the outside above your left knee and hang out there. So if you like that stretch, you can stay on one side and just feel that openness through the front of the hip. Take your time. You know, if you're like, okay, well, I need to do something else, by all means do it. Anything that is, right? If you need a bit more of a hip opener, if you need to come into another kind of a twist, there could be any number of things actually that sound good to you right now. So take your time to do what feels good. A plow pose if you need to, Uttanasana, a deeper twist if you like. Take your time. You know, once I get around to get the lights, then I will get around to bringing stuff. Bolsters, blankets. I would be more than happy to bring anything you might need to feel more comfortable while you're coming into Shirsasana. Need a bolster, weight heavy? Nothing, a blanket or anything at all. So remember, if you feel better to have your head up on, you know, it might be just a little tiny fold of a blanket. It doesn't have to be much. Sometimes just a tiny bit underneath your head. Or nothing. Just sometimes feels better. So, you know, you just get comfortable. Let yourself take your time. Melt down into the ground. And just accept your breaths now, coming in and going out. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. Let the breaths carry you wherever you can. I mean, it might mean that you come back to your breaths by a word or a mantra or a counting, or maybe just returning your awareness to a place, you know, or a feeling. Just give yourself these few minutes for your body to have time, your mind to find a little bit of quietness. Just let yourself completely and fully relax. enjoy the ground a little bit longer, whether you stay on your back or you roll to one side or just whatever is comfortable for you, but appreciating the ground a little bit longer. Give your brain and your body time to adjust back. So that when you feel ready to rise up to sitting, it just feels like the next natural thing. You feel ready to get back up to have your head on top, getting comfortable in the way you're seated as well, and so that your hips feel nice and easy, your shoulders feel nice and open. Your eyes gently closed, you can just stay inwardly focused a little bit longer. Feel your breath coming in and going out. And on your next exhale, allowing your hands to come gently to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Namaste. Happy Tuesday.
No.
Need to leave for these.
I never get to look at you like this.
Like this?
No, just face to face. Yes, I was late. I've been trying to do so much.